What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Kevin with Optimized Essentials, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about Liverking. Now, I don't normally talk about people on my channel just because I prefer to share educational content, things that people can actually use as opposed to like kind of gossiping or talking about people. But in this scenario, there's something I actually really wanted to cover, and a lot of it has to do with honesty and role modeling and being someone with integrity. Just because, I actually believed, as the title suggests, he was natty, right? Now, I was probably among the 5%, 10% of people who took his word for it, okay? Hear me out. When I first heard about Liverking and I saw his photos, I was suspicious, this guy is abnormally big, nice, swole muscles, big gut, definitely is playing a character, eating raw liver. And, I actually looked back at one of his videos, which I'm going to, share shortly so you guys can kind of see the beginning of all this. But when I first saw him, I did have my suspicions, right? So I wasn't totally oblivious to the fact that, or the potential that he was on steroids. But when I listened to his podcasts, right, I listened to a lot of his interviews, a lot of his podcasts with I think H3 was one of them, the CEO podcast. He was on one with Bert where they were shirtless and he just kept talking and interrupting him and whatnot. And, Logan Paul. And to hear someone who preaches, the ancestral way of living, the 9 ancestral tenets, which are honestly basic principles that I already follow from the beginning, right? That I'm fully aware of. Anyone into health and fitness, true health and fitness, health and wellness, holistic health, understands that these principles work, right? So hearing him talk about these 9 ancestral, these tenets, personally, Paul Chek is my mentor and I follow his 6 foundational health principles. They're kind of pretty much the same. They're very they're very similar, and a lot of it is the same, right? The same stuff. So when I heard him talking about this stuff, I associate a lot of truth to it, I want to listen to someone's message. I want to hear, what are they trying to teach? What are they trying to preach? And when I heard him talk about these things, and also the fact that he denied that he was on steroids, right, that he didn't take them and that he's natty, I decided to take his word for it, right? I decided to believe in his goodness as a human being, that he wouldn't lie. Because if he's telling the truth about all this stuff, because liver is definitely a superfood, if you don't sleep properly, you definitely are going to lower your hormones, your testosterone and whatnot. You'll definitely improve a lot of different aspects of your life if you follow the tenets, the principles that he talks about. So even though I had suspicions, even though I believed that, or took his word on it, that he was natural, I did have my suspicions in the beginning. I think a lot of people did too. I think a lot of people either knew he was on something or, had suspicions that he was on something, or also in my case decided to choose to believe him that he was potentially natural. Now, why would I say this? It's because if he's true about training since he was 7, 8, or 9, whatever age it is, for 30 years, and the way he's eating now, if you watch the videos, the way he trains, the way he eats, it's for real, right? Do I think everyone can look like him? Now we know, unless you're taking steroids, you can't really achieve that type of body. But I rationalize in my mind that, maybe this guy, because he's trained for 30 years, because he's been doing this for so long, and because he eats the way he eats, a pound of liver a day, and all these other nose to tail eating, eating testicles, eating kidneys, hearts, etc., would give him the nutrients and maybe even all the creatine and whatever amino acids and stuff in those organ meats would give him the type of swollenness that you see in his muscles, right? So I took his word, right? Maybe I fell for the bait. I believed in his words as a man. I think you should always take someone's word unless you can tell he's lying, or you figure out he's lying later afterwards, which in this case we have. That you should just trust someone, right? So I decided to trust that he does not take PEDs, because if you watch a lot of his interviews, right, even in the exposure video where he leaked his emails, where More Plates, More Date leaked his emails, he talked about how he was, every time he got asked, he was like, no, I don't take these. I don't cheat. I don't take this even when, I've never taken them, and I have, and I don't plan on it, right? When he says it with such conviction, you can't help but trust him, right? Like, what is he peddling, right? A lot of people are going to say that he's selling his supplements, and now I can see that. Even though I do believe his supplements were somewhat successful beforehand, and his mission is to help people because of suicide, depression, and whatnot, and this way of eating or maybe using his supplements can help with that. Even though I believe in this, I still believe it was super dishonest and deceptive to lie about your steroid use. You know, personally for me, using steroids, I have nothing against using steroids as long as you're honest about it, right? The main question is, would he have achieved the same level of success that he has if he didn't take any PEDs? That's the real question. I don't know. I really don't know. But what am I saying here? So recently he's made a confession video, literally about an hour ago before I posted before I'm making this, he made a confession video, right? And I was curious about how he would address this, right? How is he going to proceed, right? Is he going to double down on it, or is he going to tell the truth? And it looks like he decided to tell the truth. But here's the thing: once your reputation gets tarnished, once your reputation gets, you know, kind of exposed, it's really hard to earn that trust back. You know what I'm saying? Personally, for me, like my mom, you know, always talked about once you break a vase, you know, like those containers, once you break a vase, even though when you glue it back together, you're still going to see the crack, it's not going to be the same. And I think for a lot of people who looked up to him as a potential role model and aspired to do the things that he does, are going to not take him as seriously because he lied to his followers, right? Like, I have no problem with people taking steroids. Just be honest about it. But the real question is, would he have been as successful if he mentioned that I take steroids and I also practice and preach these 9 ancestral tenets? But here's the thing: if you watch his confessional video, he talks about how he had problems with his lipid profiles, his hormonal profile and stuff like that, because he was getting older, 43 and whatnot. So it kind of invalidates what he's saying, right? The fact that you're preaching these 9 ancestral tenets, they're supposed to boost your testosterone, help you with X, Y, and Z, right? And it's not working for you, and you have to get on steroids to improve your body image, to improve your hormonal profile. That invalidates and looks very bad on a CEO, on a company, because especially if you're selling a product, right? If you're preaching a certain lifestyle and it's not getting you results and you have something to sell, then it diminishes your credibility and what you have to offer. Because a lot of his videos, as he's created this character, you can kind of see the evolution of Liverking. When I first looked back at one of his videos where he was wearing a shirt and he was just starting off as Liverking, you can see he was more shy, more reserved. He actually had a shirt on, right?
My family and tribe call me Liverking. My mission is to put back in what the modern world left out. If you want to follow along and learn more, follow me here.
And his mission is still there, right? So with all controversy aside, his mission is noble, right? To live the ancestral way, I forgot the 9 tenets off the top of my head, but it's basic stuff, you know, like eating right, sleeping right, moving your body, shielding from the EMF and the chemicals. All these are legit practical things that once you implement will get you good results. A lot of them I do myself before I've even watched them. So I really respected Liverking as a man who was on a mission, who was trying to improve the lives of many people by telling them to eat liver, to eat organ meats and whatnot. And if you don't want to do that, then take his supplements. I really respected that. You know, I thought he was like, this is a true, noble, honest man. But what irked me the most, again, is when we found out about his emails, right? When we found out about his stuff. You can no longer trust someone who lied to you about something like this, you know? I know most people claim they already knew, right, that he was on steroids. And it's not that I didn't. Maybe it was more like I chose not to accept the fact that he was on steroids or potentially on steroids. I always acknowledged there was that potential there, but I chose to trust his words as a man. And I think a lot of people, a lot of his followers, his true followers, I don't follow him, but I do watch his stuff, not on Instagram, but I have watched a lot of his interviews. So I don't want to say looked up to this guy, but I admired him, right? He's not necessarily my role model. He inspired me to eat more organs and train harder, definitely, for sure. But I don't consider him as like a mentor or someone I follow as like a, the person that the guy that I follow is Paul Chek, right? But I don't do the same thing that I do with Paul Chek with Liverking. But I do like watching him because he's entertaining. What I didn't really, again, don't like the most, I don't want to keep beating dead horse, is that he lied about it, right? And even though he confessed that he lied about it, there's other things, if you really pay attention to the way he's living and all these small quirks and stuff, that he's definitely making up. So if he's lying about something like this, there's other things that he's definitely lying about. He says he doesn't shower, or he doesn't shave and stuff like that, or he doesn't brush his teeth. I have my own thoughts about whether or not cavities will. I definitely think Weston A. Price has something to talk about cavities and whatnot. But if he's lying about these small things, there's probably going to be other areas of his life that he's not being true to himself with, and it would have been a lot better for him if he just came clean from the beginning. But long story short, I just wanted to make a video and talk about Liverking, because this was a pretty interesting topic. And I'm curious to know how it goes on from here. So, and then there's actually one or two more things I wanted to talk about before I wrap this video up. As I was editing, it kind of popped up to my mind. The first thing is, imagine what his family, his wife, his kids, and his company has to go through because of something like this, right? For one decision that he decided to make, which was being dishonest about his drug use or his steroids use, how that is or will impact his family, right? Imagine all the hate, all the comments that he's getting, maybe even to his kids and his wife, who seems like she's a great female, right? A great mother, a quality woman, right? Imagine what she has to deal with because of his actions or his decision to be dishonest about his steroid use. So the moral of the story, right, with all of this is to be honest, right? I know personally for me, I've told a lot of white lies before where I kind of manipulate the truth, and I actually learned a really big lesson from just observing this alone. It's that if you lie about something, if you are dishonest about something, it's eventually going to catch up to you. Either psychologically, it's going to build into your conscious, or it's going to get leaked out into the public and you just can't lie about it anymore. Nothing adds up and people find out, and then your reputation is fucked, right? And there was one saying or one quote that my communications teacher that I remember from college said. He said that one of his mentors told him to protect your reputation with your fucking life. And now I understand why. Because once something like this happens, again, your trust is ruined, your reputation is ruined, and it's harder to take what you say with, it's hard to trust what you have to say, right? People can't take your word at face value anymore. They're always gonna question, are you telling the truth? When you lie once, especially a big lie like this, it's going to mess you up. So guys, more of the story. Tell the goddamn truth. Have a good one. Peace.